Good evening, brothers and sisters. Good evening. Good evening. Here we are again to share this time together. Thank you for your attention. I thank those that will be with me live as we prepare to wait on them and those that will visit us later in the show. We intend to have a full run now because we'll be talking about Farrakhan and how he's fulfilled his duty or job to change or replace the teaching of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. So Farrakhan has fulfilled his duty to change or replace the Nation of Islam as taught by the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. So this is going to be a very interesting show. And I'm very thankful to have the opportunity to be here to talk about such, because it's something that we certainly have to talk about. And things won't get any better until we talk about it. And so our parents and great-grandparents' generation has done a whole lot of work. And so now it's time for us to invest this time in working for ourselves. As Black people, we got to do something for ourselves, brothers and sisters. No one's going to do it for us. We've got to do it, okay? You can't blame the white man, and I won't blame him for you. I won't blame him for you. It's something that you have to do. We have to do this on our own. And so this is our job. This is our focus. This is what we're here to do. This is what we're here to do. So I ask that you be encouraged as we walk this journey together. But that's what we're doing. We're walking it together. Believe you me. This is a sacrifice. Lots of times I'm tired when I get on here to do the work, but nonetheless, because we're important and because we have to have some kind of understanding for what's going on in our lives, we have to understand what's going on. And because we have to have some understanding, then I'm on this show. But it is a sacrifice. Understand that. It's a sacrifice. And you know how we do. We don't, as far as we're concerned, we don't sacrifice for one another. So as we get ready, I'm going to be putting some information on the side and talking with you. So you can join or attend. Should put attend Imhotep University. Here's Imhotep. We are teaching herbal meds. So you're able to do that along with us if you want. You can do that. You can join Prince Imhotep University. Right? We'll put down there the purpose of it for an associate's. In African herbal science and medicine. All right. So you can learn these things, herbal medicines, and bring it back to your neighborhood. Now people are going to need someone who knows what they're doing. You know, instead of our people, instead of our people cutting each other up, right? Somebody's going to have to be able to fix what other people mess up. So when people are cutting you up, shooting you in our community, and I'm using you. When I say you, I'm talking about us. In our community, people are cutting and shooting one another. And we're great apologists because we act as if we're nonviolent. When the white man is against us, we act nonviolent. Nonetheless, we shoot and cut each other up. Is that right or wrong? So we have to do better, and we have to be better. Here it is. This is a place where we do better and where we be better. You and I have a job to do. We have a job to do. So Imhotep University. Now, you can also look online for the holistic practice. All right, because there are other things there that you'll find interesting, right? You'll find those things interesting because you can take part in it. You can purchase, right? If you need something herbal, stop buying that store stuff. Stop buying the stuff from the store. Stop buying the stuff from the store. This stuff is not healthy for you. So you can look at our pharmacy for African herbal science and medicine. It's African herbal science and medicine. So that's very important because what you'll be able to do is get products that are natural for colds and things of that nature that'll fix you up right away. You don't have to worry about anything else. These things will fix you up. So I want you to be aggressive in supporting yourself. Can you do that? Promise me that you can be aggressive in supporting yourself. That's what we need to do. By supporting the Black community, you're supporting yourself. Understand that. And so this is what you need to do. Now I'm going to put my email down here. For those that would like to get in touch for books or whatever, just email me. We'll be able to get those things to you. So go, use the link, brothers and sisters, for the practitioner site. So that you'll be able to see what we have. We've been busy. We're doing a great job. We're doing a great job. As we wait for others to come on, remember we're in the month of Ramadan. The month of Ramadan. So we want to stay positive. We want to think positive, right? Everything that we do should send out positive energy. Right? Because we're sending this out for our people. All these things are important for us. Important for health. Important for our health. All these things are important for us. So we want to be in the right spirit and be in the right mind. That's what we want to do. Be in the right spirit and be in the right mind. So I'm putting these links in here. All you have to do is click them and they'll take you exactly where you need to go. They'll take you exactly where you need to go. All these links. Okay, so I believe we're ready to get started. You and I are about ready to get started. And I'm going to pin, probably should say, I'll pin this top notion. So you'll be able to use it if you want. Be able to click on there and you can get all the information that you need from that, right? From the very site. Because we have school too. You got to educate yourselves, brothers and sisters. Nothing's going to come to you. If you want it, you're going to have to educate yourselves and get it. Educate yourselves and get it. It's the only way that anything is going to come to you. So we have to be steadfast, unmovable, always abounding in the work that God has provided for us. We have a very interesting show tonight because we're going to talk about Louis Farrakhan. And I know you wonder why we concentrate on Farrakhan. We have to concentrate because he has literally seduced the Black community. And what we have to understand is as long as he does this and he's not questioned, it doesn't matter how old he is, we could be respectful of Farrakhan. We could be respectful, right? Of Farrakhan. But understand that Farrakhan don't speak for us. He doesn't speak for us. We can be respectful of him, and I'm all for that because our ancestors teaches us that. But we don't have to respect him. Now, first thing I want to do is talk about Farrakhan today. What has happened? The background of Farrakhan. How Farrakhan got to the place that he's in. All of these things need to be discussed. All these things need to be discussed. For instance, and you'll find this interesting, is the application of Farrakhan versus the Secretary of State for Home Department with this Sadiq Khan, the mayor of London, was Farrakhan's solicitor. Now, on the application of Farrakhan versus Secretary of State for Home Department, it's a legal citation now, was a very challenge by the way of judicial review to the ban on Louis Farrakhan entering the United Kingdom. The ban was imposed on Farrakhan, the leader of the black supremacist separatist Nation of Islam in the United States in 1986. He sought to overturn the ban in 2001, relying on the provisions of Human Rights Act of 1998, and was initially successful in the Administrative Court of High Court of Justice, which is in England. They're saying Human Rights Act of 1998, which simply says that the Parliament of the United Kingdom, which received royal assent in 19 November 1998 and came into force on 2nd October 2000. Its aim was to incorporate into the UK law rights contained in Europe, or rather the European Convention on Human Rights. Now, understand this, Farrakhan is not a human rights leader. I want you to understand that. You have to understand this. Now, the ban is a legal citation which prevents Farrakhan from entering Europe. Why would these white people, right, especially Sadiq Khan, later the mayor of London, right? Because if he's over London, he's going to do what London wants. So when you talk about Arabs that are being hired, right, these are, first of all, they're not real Arabs. And anybody with mixed blood, they got English blood in them and Arab blood in them, they're part of the house. You got to understand that. And then it goes back to certain tutors and what do they call it, stewards that watched over England houses, or that served in positions of parliament and things like that. Is no different than politicians here serving for the interests of the wealth class of America. Because if you poor, you don't have any representation. It says no taxation without representation. I mean, no representation without taxation. So this is a matter of money. So this legal citation is a practice of crediting and referring to authoritative documents of sources and sources. The most common source of authority cited are court decisions, cases, statutes, regulation, government documents, a key word, government documents, treaties, and scholarly writings. Now, Farrakhan was banned from coming inside of the United Nations. Or the United Kingdom. He was banned, right? He was banned. So, what was it? In 2001, he sought to overturn the ban, relying on the provisions of the Human Rights Act of 1998. So, initially was successful in the Administrative Court of the High Court of Justice, right? The administrative courts. This means the King's Bench Division. Listen to this. Of the High Courts of Justice deal with a wide range of common law cases and has a supervisory responsibility over certain lower courts. So he succeeded there, right? This is in the King's Court, right? This is the King Bench Division, right, for England. Then in the High Court of Justice in London is known properly as His Majesty's High Court of Justice in England. Together with the Court of Appeals and the Crown Court are the senior courts of England and Wales. It's almost like the Supreme Court for us. Its name is abbreviated as EWHC for legal citation purposes. Now, the first time that an exclusion order had been successfully challenged, Farrakhan did this. The British government appealed in 2002. The Court of Appeal overturned the earlier decision, reinstating the ban. Farrakhan's solicitor, Sadiq Khan later became mayor. Now, understand what the Nation of Islam is. And this is necessary because Farrakhan has been to other countries to speak. And I want you to understand, he has enough work here to keep him busy to build here. Right? He has enough here. If he is doesn't have a strong build here through the Nation of Islam with businesses, education, legislation for us in particular, or even with the amount of money that he's made over the years to buy some land, literally for the Nation of Islam, which he has not done. We own some property, but to have a land of our own, we have yet to do that. Or even set up in Africa where we can go. Which he has not done that. Garvey took people to Liberia, but I want you to understand, Garvey did not free Liberia. That was done through James Monroe. And that means it's the first American colony. Liberia is nothing more than an American colony. But to have some place of your own when you've gained the money, Farrakhan has not done this. It was one of the most important goals of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And also building businesses within that community or even within our own communities in which we live to give us independence. Because there's no sense in you taking a bunch of people somewhere and they can't afford it. It's not going to work. But the background on the Nation of Islam, the original Nation of Islam, is that the Nation of Islam is a black religious group, or if you want to say, I'll call it the American African. Because America was its country, was the second Africa, then you had the third Africa. So I'll call it American Africa, like Shahrazad Ali is the only one I've seen that really used that term correctly. But it is the Nation of Islam is an American African religious group, which was formed in the 1930s. And they say came to prominence really in 1935, because the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad began to build temples and go around and do these lectures, and really got busy in making it a fortified organization where he had built up about 400 members collectively, and then abroad he had about 24 to 3,000 members. And you had members that come out of it, such as Muhammad Ali, Malcolm X, Khalid Muhammad. Who else? You had, of course, Minister Farrakhan. And many others. Many others you can think of. Wallace Wardeen Muhammad, who was, of course, the ultimate traitor to his father and his father's legacy. They came into prominence in the United Kingdom, though. This is important. In the 1990s. Now, it may have come to prominence in the United Kingdom in the 1990s, but you already had Nation of Islam in the UK earlier than that. I want to say that. During the public inquiry that followed the racist murder of, I believe it was Stephen Lawrence. He was a black British teenager from Plumstead. A lot of y'all probably remember this. Southeast London. That's what Plumstead is. And he was murdered in a racially motivated attack while waiting for a bus on Well Hall Road. Elton, on the evening of the 22nd of April, 1993, when he was 18 years old, was killed, and it became a cause. And there was a strong fallout behind this. Black community in England. There was a strong fallout behind it. And the fallout and changes of attitude on racism and policing and to the law and police practice. And it also led to the partial revocation of a rule against double jeopardy. Two of the perpetrators were convicted of murder on the 3rd of January. That was 2012, I believe. Now, This is, again, it may have become noted in the 90s, but I want to make plain the Nation of Islam was already there in England, but it was much more of an invisible group in England because they knew what they had to do at that time, and I don't blame them, because you have to be a foolish person to sort of show your entire hand, right, when you're getting things together. And that's what's wrong with black people now. They like to be peacocks because they want to be seen. Now, when you replace in the Nation of Islam, you replace the goals, the mood, and all of that, right? Because in the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad views on race, for instance, he called for blacks to have an independent nation for themselves. This made him a controversial figure, both within the Nation of Islam and within the black community. He also have been variously described as a black nationalist, a black supremacist. I don't see how they could call him that. And a religious leader who fought for the rights of the American African. Now, he fought for the rights of the American African. So you have to understand that building businesses is a fight. Building temples is a fight. Starting jobs. He had the most simple way of starting jobs. And so that there was no shame, right, in the black man that the white man wouldn't hire. He started him a job, he'd sell newspaper, start making pies, sell those pies for himself, start making dishes that were wholesome and healthy, then people would come on and buy it. So he created a job. Shelving in the Nation of Islam is very, very common. So men and women can bake pies, and as a team, they do great. It's automatic business. A family can start a business selling pies in different places. They pick their place and sell their pies. They sell it, they make money. It is a ready-made business. Now, this is what the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad organized to instill pride in the woman and the man, and then got MGT training for women, right? Muslim girl training. Then you had FOI for men, Fruit of Islam, right? And Nation of Islam training. So the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad has an organized mind for raising up or resurrecting the community so it could be independent on its own. Do we understand that? So in order to do that, you can't be close to the white man and pussyfooting with the white man, and every time you turn around, you're dealing with the white man. That's not to say you hate him. You don't hate him, but you're trying to do something for yourself. You don't hate him. You're trying to do something for yourself, and it's okay. Because I don't see, the white people not going to just go out their way to invite you to their meetings. Excuse me, brothers and sisters, I know you understand. So they're not going to just let you come to their meetings. Or when they're discussing something private, they're not going to let you in on it. Because if they were going to let you in on it, they would let you in on them making you slaves. They didn't let you in on it because it was none of your business. So they didn't let you in on it. And you have to understand that everything you do is not the white man's business. You have to understand that. And I pray, I really do. I pray both day and night that you would wake up and understand that this is business. And when you talk about a race means competition. Race means competition, right? Race means competition. So you got to be able to receive, right? Assist, challenge that economy. And that's race. I'm going to put that down. Race has an acronym, right? Race has an acronym. And here's the thing about a lot of you is that you're so lazy, brothers and sisters. It's easier to blame yourselves than blame the white man. Easier to blame yourselves and blame the white man rather than you working. Why not work? If you spend time working, you ain't got nobody to blame. You can't blame the white man for the situation that you're in. You're putting yourself in the situation if the way has been made for you to come out of that situation. This is something that you have to understand. You have to accept it. And I don't think that many of you have taken time to accept the situation you're in, the condition that you're in. Because if you accept the condition that you're in, or I should say, if you observe the condition that you're in, you won't accept the condition that you're in. And you'll work hard to change it. But many of you rather sell drugs, right? Hustle people. And if you do that, you're certainly not learning. Anytime you steal from someone, you're just admitting to them how much more intelligent they are to you and how limited you are, opposed to themselves. So there's a better way. The better way is to learn better so that you can do better. If you learn better, you will indeed do better, brothers and sisters, if you learn. So today is the day that you begin to learn what was put in place, because I get sick of hearing brothers and sisters not knowing. You have not because you ask not. You won't look, you won't research. But if somebody told you that some singer was coming into town, or R. Kelly was getting out of the prison, I don't know what it is. You'll go to garbage information, garbage news, never go to anything that's going to help you. And your job today is go to something that's going to help you. You need help getting out of the situation you're in. Your children need training, dealing with authority. We need after-school education program more in the community, right? And parents need to start learning how to be parents and raising their children. Because if we do this, then we'll keep our children out of the limelight. That's not to say that there are no killers out there, but they're less likely to be killed from their own ignorance, opposed to the ignorance of the society that they're living in. And I would be the first to say that, yes, brothers and sisters, this is an ignorant society. I would be the first to say it. But we don't have to be bound by ignorance in this society. I would also say that. So understanding what the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad wanted to put forth is important. This is tantamount to us changing and transforming our society. We can't conform, but we can certainly transform our society, right? The scripture said, be ye not conformed to this world, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. Isn't that right? What I want to tell you, brothers and sisters, is that since the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad died in February the 25th of 1975, in which he was poisoned, I should say they announced his death in 1975. It was announced. It's possible that he died. Well, we know he took ill on the 23rd. He may have died on the 23rd, but they may have alerted the public after they got things changed where Wallace Wardeen Muhammad would take over. So he was succeeded by the head of the NOI by son Wallace Wardeen Muhammad, who renamed the organization as the World Community of Al-Islam in the West. Wallace Muhammad later changed his name as part of his own transition to Sunni Islam and now known as Imam Wardeen Muhammad. Now, in saying that too, I want to say that the Sunni Islam was literally laid in the lap of not only Wallace Muhammad. Wallace brought it to Minister Malcolm, but there was another brother in the 1950s. See, because I want you to see how the enemy works. You got to know it. You got to know it. You got to know how the enemy works. Now, let's look first of all at the first temple that the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad raised up. The Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad raised up a temple that took control of number one. But there were many leaders that wanted control of this truth, this newfound truth. You know, when you find something and it's something you know is going to change the world, and somebody else learned about it, even though it was given to you, the first thing they'll do is say, and this is what they did with Jesus. First thing they did is say, man, So I'm going to get in control of that. They look past the person that was picked to do it, even though they know he was picked to do it. So I want to get some of that action in. So what they started doing, they started fighting over temple number 1. So Elijah Muhammad, because he was appointed by Master Fard Muhammad, took over temple number 1. After the battles with other potential leaders, including his own brother, his own blood brother, he had to fight him to get in control of the temple that the Most Honorable Elijah, Master Fard Muhammad left for the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. So the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad had to fight his own brother to get in control of temple number 1. That's in Detroit, Michigan. Now, in 1935, these battles became increasingly fierce because the people that wanted to take over was only thinking about the money. They weren't called to the position, right? They weren't chosen for the position because it said many are called but few are chosen. They weren't chosen for the position, brothers and sisters. But there was no way they were going to let all that money slip in between their fingers. They wanted to get their hands on that money. So the battles became increasingly fierce. The Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad left Detroit and settled his family in Chicago, still facing death threats. The Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad left his family there and traveled to Milwaukee, Wisconsin, where he founded temple number 3. He's setting up these temples, right? And eventually to Washington, D.C., where he founded temple number 4. He spent much of his time reading 104 books suggested by Master Fard, Wallace Fard Muhammad, W.F. Fard. Now, and this is at the Library of Congress. So on the 8th of 1942, Elijah Muhammad, or the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, was arrested for failure to register for the draft during World War II. Now imagine that. You can't get any rights. You can't get any rights. And the government still wants you to fight in their war, which you're not going to get any rights. Why would you fight if you're not going to get any rights? I'm just asking the question. Okay, I'm just asking. And so he's put in jail, right, for the draft. A lot of you probably too young to know what the draft is, but it's basically Selective Training and Service Act of 1940. It's a Selective Training and Service Act of 1940. It's also known as the Burke-Wadsworth Act, right? And it was published in the Two-Tip Public Law. What is that? Edition 76, 7083, and the 54 Statistics in 885, enacted September 16th, 1940. This is where you can find it. During the peacetime conscription in the United States, Selective Service Act required that men would sign up and register for the service, right? Many veterans, after you serve time with service, they ask you to still sign up for selective service. So during World War II, after he was released on bail, the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad fled to Washington, D.C. on the advice of his attorney, who feared a lynching, and returned to Chicago after a 7-year absence. The Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad was arrested there and charged on 8 counts of sedition for instructing his followers not to register for the draft or serve the armed forces. And you can understand why. The Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad is a religious man. Isn't that right? He's a religious man. And so it's not often that they would take a religious man and make him register for the United States service. Besides, at this time, it was clear, blatantly clear, that black people, no matter if they was in the service or out of the service, did not get the respect of the governing command within the military and without the military. Both are part of the American government. Both are under the Constitution of the United States, right? Which says liberty and justice for all, as long as you're not black. So the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad was arrested there and charged with 8 counts of sedition for instructing his followers not to register for the draft or serve in the armed forces. Acquitted of sedition, he was found guilty of draft evasion. The Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad served 4 years in prison from 1942 to 1946 and at the Federal Correction Institution in Milan. Now, the Federal Correctional Institution, Milan, is a U.S. federal prison in Michigan, which most of the prison in York Township, and a portion of it is in Milan, and it's operated by the Federal Bureau of Prisons, right? So Milan is in Michigan. Milan is a city in Monroe and Washtenaw counties in the United States of Michigan. And the population today has decreased probably less than 7,000 people. I think 6,000, maybe 6,079 people, somewhere around there, but it's not a great population. The majority of it, though, is a prison population. Town was created literally by letting people out of prison and them living there. They have a social welfare system second to none when they're integrating the prison inside of the population and the community. So, and of course, they don't have voting rights. They got to recheck that, but I believe they were using them as part of the, I think gave them voting rights or fighting for them to have voting rights because they was going to use it as part of the campaign for nomination. So during that time, his wife, Clara, and trusted aides ran the organization. When Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad was locked up, Mother Clara and trusted aides ran the organization. Muhammad transmitted his messages and directives to the followers in letters. Following his return to Chicago, Elijah Muhammad was firmly in charge of the Nation of Islam. While the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad was in prison, the growth of the Nation of Islam stagnated with fewer than 400 members by the time of his release in 1946. However, through the conversion of his fellow inmates as well as a renewed efforts outside the prison, he was able to redouble his efforts and continue growing the nation. The Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad preached his own version of religion, and it's a salvation version of religion. So he taught what Jesus actually meant when he said salvation, because Jesus himself was a Muslim. Now, when I say that, they get upset. But there was no Christianity around during the lifetime of Jesus. Islam was around, but no Christianity. And if you say Jew only means a Semitic race and a religion. That means you're very religious and you've been part of the Jewish race. You come from a certain select of people, or a certain selected race, such as black people. Black people are undoubtedly African, and in order to be a Jew, you had to be African. So somewhat along that, you couldn't separate the term from the religion or the race, and we are Semitic people. So the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad preached Islam to his followers in the nation, and according to him, blacks were known as the original human beings, with evil whites being an offshoot race that would go on to oppress black people for 6,000 years. The origin of the white race will come to be known as Yaqub's history within Elijah Muhammad's teaching. Now let's talk about Yaqub, and he's a real person. This was somebody real. According to the beliefs of the Nation of Islam, right? Yaqub is a black scientist who lived 6,600 years ago and began the creation of the white race. He's said to have done this through a form of selective breeding, which is referred to as grafting, while he was living on the island of Patmos. Now, with that being said, because there's a lot of distinctions about the Isle of Patmos and where it is. But listen, the Isle of Patmos is real, it does is this, and then Jacob did go there. Jacob did go to the Isle of Patmos. And you have to know that. You have to know that. This is talking about their race. Not talking about ours. Talking about their race. And Jacob did go there. And he was amazing at taking livestock, which were nothing but slaves. I hope you can appreciate what I'm saying. The livestock were nothing but slaves. In other words, it was people that he was breeding. He would throw away the darker and keep the lighter. And the whole purpose of why he was doing this was to create an origin known as the white race. And Malcolm X, when he talked about it in the autobiography of Malcolm X, he first encountered this doctrine from the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Now, we have to rely, and this is the thing, and I love our brother Alex Haley. He had creative privilege in the writing of Minister Malcolm X, because Minister Malcolm X was dead. And I noticed in the writing, he never sought to go to the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad to get some clarity. So you can only suggest, we can only think that, and you already know that he was working for Reader's Digest. So we can only imagine that the knowledge that Minister Malcolm gave to Alex Haley used it for his benefactors, because he had to demonize the teaching of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And I'm going somewhere with this, if you be patient with me, because I have to keep building the foundation for you. The Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad teachers appealed to what? Young, economically disadvantaged, American Africans, males of the Christian background. Traditionally, black males would not go to church because church did not address their needs. The Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad's program for economic development played a large part in the growth of the Nation of Islam. Economic development. What does a black man need? A job. Right? How is he going to feed his family? With a job. How is he going to control that job? By doing for self. And what job can he control? The one he creates for himself. And that's a philosophy. And a large part of the growth of the Nation of Islam is that within it is self-supportive. It's very self-supportive from within. Now, in understanding the self-support, the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad purchased land and businesses to provide housing and employment for young black males. That is a threat to the U.S. government. Just doing that. Just doing that. Because if you can do that, then you can decide your own destiny. If you make your own money, you got your own job, you can decide your own destiny. This is what you have to understand. This is what's so important, brothers and sisters. This is what's important about making your own businesses. And it's very, very simple. By the 1970s, the Nation of Islam owned bakeries, barbershops, coffee shops, grocery stores, laundromats, nightclubs, a printing plant, retail stores, numerous real estate holdings, and a fleet of tractor trailers. Whole fleet of tractor trailers. You know what that is? Trucks. Trucks that carry your food back and forth. And they were contracting with these stores to do that. But not only that, they were contracting with their own stores. Plus, they had farmland in Michigan, Alabama, and Georgia. And they still have that today. And I think they have some in Mississippi now, Arkansas, Tennessee, and of course, Chicago. In 1972, the Nation of Islam took controlling interest in a bank. You understand what I'm saying? The Guarantee Bank and Trust Company. The Nation of Islam owned schools. Expanded until by 1974, the group had established schools in 47 cities without the United States, or throughout the United States. In 1972, Muhammad told his followers, this is the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad speaking, he told his followers that the Nation of Islam had a net worth of $75 million. Brothers and sisters, if that's not a threat, I don't know what is. And this is from one group, just one group. Had the Christian church got involved, and had the other churches got involved, and other black religions, you'd be the most unstoppable force in America. And you would have your true freedom, true liberation, true equality. You would have it overnight. You would have that overnight. So this is important to remember. This is important stuff, because these are the things that can teach you the groundwork of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, why it was important. Prior to young black males, homes for young black males, land for young black males, give them a job. Not only that, but you control the banking interest. So if they work, they know they can get a loan for their business. What are they going to do? They're going to do that. Because what's the pride and do for self if you have your own stuff, right? What stopped black people today? We don't have any banks bagging us. You got black banks, but they can't really bag us because many of us haven't bagged them. But the key thing about being in the Nation of Islam is that you knew that you was going to get some bagging from the bank. Now, the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad also authored 2 books. One of them is How to Eat to Live, which promoted views about diet and nutrition. Today, a lot of the white hospitals, I hate saying it that way, and excuse me for saying it that way, but black and white were words that were created, so I use it against my will. The Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad authored 2 volumes, How to Eat to Live, which promoted views about diet and nutrition. The Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad argued that only 1 meal should be eaten a day at most, and if black people eat 1 meal every 3 days, they'll never get sick and may possibly live 1,000 years. Long life. He argued that eating pork would bring about depraved behavior and a culture of white Westerners. According to the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, beef, lamb, and camel are permissible, but should be avoided if possible at all costs. And also he noted that Allah forbid us to eat the flesh of swine or fish weighing more than 50 pounds because the composition change. You can eat fish, but not one man weighing more than 50 pounds, like the bottom feeders, catfish, and all of that, right? In regards to fowl, only baby pigeons were seen as clean. If eaten, should be taken straight from the nest. According to the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, peas was forbidden. Sweet potatoes, right, are forbidden by Allah in many white foods in color, and they're automatically bad for our health. Muhammad argued that white people are attempting to destroy black people by weakening their health with inappropriate processed foods. We know it is GMO today, and the whole country is concerned about GMO, right? You have the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad to thank for that, and Dr. Sebi to thank for that. Do you understand, brothers and sisters? Because we have to take care of our health. Good health will make us live longer, right? Good health will make us live longer. You don't have to make commercials about eating when you know exactly what to eat, right? When you learn better, you do better. Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad argued that the white people were trying to destroy black people by weakening our health and inappropriate GMO foods, such as biscuits, white bread, right? Because this is bleached flour. The Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad considered most fruits and vegetables safe to eat except collard greens and turnip salad. In regards to beans, only navy beans could be eaten. Lima beans were considered a poison, which the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad believed made black people's stomach explode. Rice and spinach were also allowed in moderation. There are no restrictions on garlic, onions, or wheat bread. No restrictions whatsoever. And the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad also stated that he obtained his dietary advice from God in person, Master Fard Muhammad. Now, Fard Muhammad was a black man. He had a white mother. We're going to touch on that. If he tell me that the white people are evil, Master Fard Muhammad tell me the white people are evil. If he had a white mother, who am I to disagree with him? I don't know. I don't have a white mother. So, but if he tells me that the white man is evil and one of his parents are white and his grandparents are both white, then who am I to debate with him? I'm not going to debate with him. What I'm thankful about is that this message is for the black man. Let me find this book over here, brothers and sisters. I'm happy that this message, is for the black man. That's what I'm happy about, that the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad wrote this book, that this message is for the black man. And we have a message of what he wanted to do to be able to carry the movement further. He knew he wasn't going to live long, but he wanted to carry it forth. The Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad have written, at least 8 books. Let's see. You have the Muslim Daily Prayer. You have the Supreme Wisdom, Volume 1 and 2. So that's 3. You got Message to the Black Man in America, the most popular writing. How to Eat to Live, the most second popular writing. That's Volume 1 and 2. So that's what? That's 6, 7, 8. That's 8. That's 8 books right there. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's 6. 6 books already. And then it got How to Eat to Live 2. Fall of America, 1973. He wrote that one. Our Savior Has Arrived, 1974. And then The Flag of Islam, 1975. When he's explaining all of these things. So here's a man that created this fortified movement. It's fortified. And he created it. So the fear was, and you understand why Minister Malcolm was killed and Minister Farrakhan was placed in the path of Minister Malcolm, and why Wallace Fardeen Muhammad kept up the trouble that he did, because they bought him. He was government bought. Farrakhan, government stamp. John Ali, National Press Secretary. Captain Joseph. Benjamin 2X Goodman. James 67X. Right? These went over to the nation with Minister Malcolm. Right? Came out of the nation with Minister Malcolm over to Muslim Mosques Incorporated. Once the job was done, they killed Minister Malcolm. They came back and joined the nation. So did Butler. They came out of jail. See, and what I want you to understand is none of them was innocent. All of them were innocent. I mean, all of them were guilty. At one point or another, all of them were guilty. The only ones that weren't guilty was the ones they placed the blame on to give distraction. So that when they said they were going to bomb the Statue of Liberty so that they could get into Minister Malcolm. It's the only ones that weren't guilty. But they were never a part of the crime. But all of the Nation of Islam members that were arrested for Minister Malcolm for participation, the government arrested them because the government was trying to hide that they were working for them. And under pressure, a lot of them would have told under pressure that they were working for the American government to take Minister Malcolm out. Once Minister Malcolm is killed, James 67X, Benjamin 2X Goodman goes back to the Nation of Islam. Now, I want to make it plain that the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, leave this man alone. Don't bother him, because if you kill Minister Malcolm, it destroys the nation. It doesn't keep it, it destroys it. And this is what I want you to understand. This is why the Honorable Louis Farrakhan, Wallace Fardeen Muhammad, Captain Joseph, and National Press Secretary John Ali. This is why they pushed the kill button on Malcolm, because they knew that Malcolm was going to come in and force stuff and then clean house. And you would have had a massive movement. A massive movement. I dare say a Muslim Pentecostal movement, because that's what you would have had. Had they succeeded, had Minister Malcolm been alive, he was going to enforce the power and rules of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Not only that, but he was going to really, really concentrate on the growth of the Muslim movement. So he's going to keep the laws, then also concentrate on the growth. Move the money changers out of the way and just really explode the Nation of Islam to what it could have been to its full potential. Because Malcolm, or most people, explained and understood that it was black, and that was his appreciation. Now, in the legacy, brothers and sisters, I know you understand. In the legacy during his time as leader of the Nation of Islam, the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad developed the Nation of Islam from a small movement in Detroit to an empire consisting of banks, schools, restaurants, stores across 46 cities in America. That's a major, major accomplishment. The worth of the Nation of Islam was $75 million. The Nation of Islam also owned 15,000 acres of farmland, their own trucks, air transport system, as well as publishing company that printed the country's largest newspaper. As a leader, the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad served as a mentor to many notable members, including Malcolm X, Muhammad Ali, Minister Farrakhan, Louis Farrakhan. That's still debatable how Farrakhan uses knowledge. That's why we're in the situation we're in today. And Wallace Wardeen Muhammad was nothing but a traitor with people in the nation to help him do that. And with that being said, brothers and sisters, we understand that the target was the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. If you get him out of the way, if you discredit him to Minister Malcolm, then you can destroy the organization from the top level. And a building that tumbles from the top level, right, it have to be refortified. And Minister Malcolm finds out late what's going on, and in the light that he finds out later, then he wants to correct it. But that was too late, right? Too late for him to correct it because the dirt had been done. So the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, you want to come back in the nation, that's great. Minister Malcolm, put out the fires that you started. So he wanted Malcolm X to put out the fires that he started and to come back. Before Malcolm get a chance to do this, they firebombed his home, caused more trouble and enmity between him and the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. They talked about truth and bind again what Minister Malcolm gives credit to him in 1965 in Detroit when he's speaking before Albert Cleage. Albert Cleage warned Minister Malcolm about Minister Farrakhan, and we have many people that say this, including Sister Betty Exercise, who's the wife of Minister Malcolm X, and other ministers that was around, that Albert Cleage warned Minister Malcolm X about Farrakhan, right? And the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad said that Farrakhan was like a wiggly snake. So that should tell you exactly what's going on and what has happened. But we have to open our eyes that the Nation of Islam that you see today under Farrakhan is not the same, because the government rewarded its leaders, and Wallace and Farrakhan was supposed to split the Nation of Islam and let it fizzle out to its own destruction, but that didn't happen. That didn't happen. And so remember, the Nation of Islam is a nation. The Nation of Islam is a nation. When Muammar Gaddafi was in Egypt, he did some work for America. The work was done. He came back to Libya to do some more work, but he was from Libya, and he began to fall in love. He was always in love with Libya. He was always in love with it. And he wanted to build it up to be something greater. He understood, because it's different working with a young man and then working with an older man. The older man has understanding. You can't pull the wool over his eye because he understands how the world works. When you're working with a younger man can be disillusioned, and he'll do whatever you say, right? This is the case of Muammar Gaddafi and many black young leaders that have done things that they are not proud of, or many that ran to do things that they eventually caught the consequence of. When you're young, you're ignorant, period. And that ignorance was used to young men to break down the Nation of Islam. It was literally used, and emotions was used, and ego was used. And the government's able to get in and play on that. They can play on that. Now, the government today may be a lot different than the government yesterday, but we have to acknowledge what happened. We can't just not talk about it. We have to acknowledge what happened. So this is the knowledge I'm giving to you. The Nation of Islam today is not the same as it was yesterday, because you had two agents. Al-Islam had Wallace Wardeen Muhammad, and the Nation of Islam, the new Nation of Islam, had Farrakhan in front of it. And as you know, Farrakhan has drifted from mainstream Nation of Islam teaching. He's drifted from mid-Nation of Islam teaching, and now he has Dianetics, and he's also teaching Scientology. So, brothers and sisters, we need to be steadfast and understanding what the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad wanted. We don't have any excuse, because he has his own books and everything. So we don't even have an excuse. All we have to do is read and study. That's all we have to do is read something, study it, to have some understanding. And I want to thank you for sharing this time with me. Brothers and sisters, we're getting ready to leave here, right? And I'll leave here, but I'll never leave your presence. right? As long as you got the web, all you have to do is click on it and you'll find me there, right? All you have to do is click on it and you will find me in the web or on the web. And feel free to stop by and listen to some of that as well. But I want us to be steadfast and unmovable, and we need to understand what the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad's philosophy was. And the minute you understand what that philosophy is, right, and what he was trying to do, what his purpose was, and you'll be able to mimic that. I don't see anywhere where Farrakhan has started a bank and asked black people to be a part of their banking system or have the information so that we could do that. I don't read anywhere that he's done that. So we know that Farrakhan is not doing anything but jiving. I hate saying that. And the time, the hour is late, brothers and sisters. When Farrakhan goes, what will you do? What will you do when Farrakhan goes? Will you know what to do when Farrakhan goes? You got to get ready now. You should be praying now during Ramadan. You should have been praying 20 years ago that God would open up your eyes, that God would give us something to work on that could be beneficial to the black man. For one thing, we need banks in our community that our people can get money from, right? We need check cashing places. We need houses, affordable houses for single individuals and affordable houses for families. And so that means you can have a community of tiny houses for single individuals. These things are not hard to make. You can turn around and do the same thing for married individuals and give them a single family home and build communities of this nature. If you would only get land of your own, brothers and sisters, and get some property of your own and prospects on that property with vision and planning. Why, you could do the same thing the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad did. And as Muslims, you'll be able to self-support that town. The same way that the Midianites do, the same way that the Quakers do, right? We can do things that way. The same thing they're doing, we can do it. We don't have to worry about having certain leaders or anything, will we? Because we can do all these things ourselves, right? And that's what the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad wanted. Separate but equal, right? He wanted separation, right? Or death. Matter of fact, separate and equal was a great law. It's the great best law that's come through here. Because you and I will never have equality under integration, brothers and sisters. It's against us. And remember this. White privilege is the offspring of racism. With that, I'll leave you, brothers and sisters. If I didn't say it before, I say it to you now. Assalamu alaikum. It's been great being with you. I say peace be unto you, and I pray that God bless you in everything that you do. That He bless you in everything you do. And when you see someone that happen to speak of racism, enact racism, I pray that you won't fear them. Because God didn't give you the spirit of fear. And I want you to know that when they press against you, nothing but cowards, because only a coward would gang up on you. The same way that a bully would. So brothers and sisters, have a good evening. Peace be unto you. Assalamu alaikum. And your woman in birthday bride. Get your